I think it was really important for Sir Mo Farah to start this conversation, this wider debate about this very serious topic of child slavery and the consequences of trafficking.
Thank you very much, Adina. Well, let's bring in then Tim Nelson, the CEO of Hope for Justice. It's an anti-slavery charity that's fighting human trafficking and helping victims and survivors of modern slavery around the world. Thanks for joining us. I mean, this sheds a light on this in the most incredible way, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Good morning, Joanna. I think this documentary raises the awareness and understanding. And, I would very much want to speak to Sir Mo and say how brave and how courageous he is to have stepped out at this moment in time to explain what has happened to him and what is also happening to so many other children across the globe. Just under 1 million children that are reported to be trafficked for domestic servitude across the world.
And obviously, you think if it could happen to somebody like Mo Farah, who has gone on to achieve such incredible things, you mentioned their numbers, but it does clearly show how the victims in this can be just completely hidden from sight.
Absolutely. And the sad reality of what happens with human trafficking and modern day slavery is that these victims are taken and hidden from plain sight. And, just in the last year, in 2021 alone, there were 5,468 children that were identified as potential victims of modern day slavery in the UK. Of that total, 275 of them were children that were identified primarily by police forces who were victims of domestic servitude in circumstances identical to that of Sir Mo.
You can understand there would be enormous fear about coming forward for anybody who's been through this to talk about it when they understand that it would mean that their legal status in a country would be questionable. How would people be treated normally? I mean, obviously, we've heard that the Home Office has said that Sir Mo Farah has absolutely nothing to be concerned about in terms of his status. But what are the protocols around it?
Well, when a person identifies themselves, they have to go through a first responder. That first responder gathers all of the information and intelligence and understanding of what that person has been through. And if they have demonstrated that they are a potential victim of modern slavery, they go into the national referral mechanism. In that point, they have an opportunity to understand what has gone on and go through the elements of the person themselves and what they've been through. At that point in time, the Home Office makes a decision whether, if they are from overseas, whether they have conclusive grounds to remain in the UK or whether they don't, whether they are a victim of modern day slavery or whether they're not. And I think across what we are seeing more and more is that there are more and more potential victims that are waiting for decisions. And we would appeal on all the authorities to look to try and assess these cases as soon as possible so that we can identify who are the traffic victims and get them the help and support. Because as you have said, individuals who have been trafficked have been through horrendous trauma, and we want to try and get them the help and support that they need.
What impact do you think Mo Farah coming forward and speaking about this so openly will have on victims particularly?
I would say that it's absolutely groundbreaking for someone at the level and standard of Mo Farah internationally with such profile to come forward and share his story. And we know that the power that stories have to change lives. Just recently, we were on the BBC and a report came through and a young boy, Ofeneme, who was 14 years old, was trafficked to the UK and held for 24 years as a domestic slave in circumstances similar to Mo Farah. And when he heard that report on the BBC, he called our offices and we were able to get him freedom. And the two individuals who were both working for the NHS at that time, both in good jobs, were able to be prosecuted. But it's stories like this, people stepping up and talking about the sad realities of nearly 40 million individuals that are held enslaved across the globe, that actually will cause people to realize that this is a hidden crime and something needs to be done about it, and look to try and help and support organizations like Hope for Justice who are on the ground trying to help find these individuals and see their lives restored.
You mentioned the figure of 1 million at the beginning of when we were talking, and I think that was a global figure. Can you estimate how many kids there might be in this position currently in this country?
Well, the reality for the figures now is there are estimates for a total modern slavery of over 100,000 individuals in the UK that are held enslaved at this moment in time. Of those cases, 43% will be those individuals who are children, and there will be a percentage of those individuals that will be held enslaved. So I can't give you a precise figure because I don't want it to be anecdotal. But what I would say is that of those figures, you know, when we're talking about potentially 43,000 individuals who are children in this country, we need to be doing more to address the conditions and to stop it from happening. Because in this day and age, we have the power, we have the means, and we have the understanding of what this is to be able to put a professional response to this and find those individuals who are held against their will.
Tim Nelson, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Record-breaking